Hello. Well, my computer locked up the last time I tried this to record this video. Well, hope it's better this time. Okay, so in this video, I'm going to talk about the very last part of normalization. And then I'm going to talk about drop-down lists. So the thing that I want to tell you is that I'm sorry. I didn't realize there was just a little bit more to go on normalization. And so I would have just finished it because it was just one more concept. But I had forgotten. I thought there was more. So anyway, I'm going to finish talking about that. And then I'll go ahead and talk about drop-down lists, and I'll talk about data integrity and how important I think that is. What drop-down lists are, which I'm sure by the name you probably can guess, and then how to create them. So let me go to the first concept, or the last concept of normalization that I'll talk in this video about in this video. Okay, so the last concept of normalization that I want you to understand is the idea that all fields should rely on the primary key and they shouldn't overlap. So the examples that I have here, for example, here, paid taxes and a data type of yes, no, meaning did they pay their taxes or not? And then taxes paid, the amount of the taxes that they paid. And this is a data type of currency. So these two fields really do overlap if you think about them. Did they pay their taxes, yes or no? Well, if they had taxes to pay, then they paid their taxes, right? So, this field here isn't really necessary. You just need the taxes paid field. If there's a value in there, then you can assume that the taxes were paid. And here, email document, data type yes, no, doc email date. Okay, so the date that the document was emailed. So if there's a value or a date in doc email date, you don't really need email document. So, and also this field and this field are relying on each other and not just linked to the primary key itself. So that is why we don't need those extra fields, so you don't include them in your tables. So that's the last concept of normalization. And the only other thing that I want to say is that there are one or maybe one exercise, to do about that. And then you're done. Yay! And you can hand it in. Okay, so let's move on to drop-down lists. So again, I want to say that we're going to talk about data integrity, what drop-down lists are, and then how to create them. And I'm just going to go over them briefly. I think you can read the supplemental activity yourself, so I will allow you to do that, quote unquote. Allow. No. Anyway. Okay. So here is a definition of data integrity. Data integrity refers to the overall completeness, accuracy, and consistency of data. And there is a source right there. And really what I state here, and I will tell you, is that I really think data integrity is about making sure that your data is right. And there are lots of different kinds of tools to increase data integrity in Access. And one of them is drop-down lists. And so that's what we're going to look at today, or in this video. So one of the things that I want to make sure you understand is that there are, as I said, many tools that Access offers, and you've learned about a few of them. I mean, data types itself increase data integrity just because they help to eliminate input. For example, even just the yes/no field. I mean, there's only two options for entry. There's not everything in the world that can be entered, um, only yes, no. And for example, dates, you can only enter certain dates in a certain way. So data types in and of themselves help increase data integrity. But then also you've learned about, for example, input masks and validation rules. Those also help increase data integrity. So yeah, so let's move on. I'm going to pull this up. And we'll learn about drop-down lists. Now, I'm going to guess that just from the name drop-down list that you kind of get an idea of what a drop-down list is. And here on the screen, you can see the, let me see if I can increase the size here. You can see that there's a city, state, zip code, and for state, there's a drop-down list. And so that's an example. Okay, so here is a design of a table. And so I want to make you aware, not that you're not already aware, but make you aware that there are fields here, right? Well, for drop-down lists, there's a whole set of properties specific to a drop-down list. And so I'm going to go over here and switch this to the combo box, which is for drop-down lists. And you can see that there's a number of different properties there. Now, I'm going to move me over. Okay, so this is page 3 is where this list begins in this supplementary activity. Okay. And I just wanted to give you a view of it a little bit, get an idea of where it is. It's on page 3. And so there's a number of different properties, as I showed you, and this right here describes each one of, or many of those properties right here. So anyway, for example, you can have row source type. You can have either a table or query as the source of your drop-down list, or you can have what's called a value list, where you specifically say right in the property, let's see, the property called row source, and just specifically saying exactly what you want as a list of what is in your drop-down list. So there's a number of different properties associated with your drop-down list specific to your drop-down list. Okay, so that's what this right here talks about, and I'm going to let you read through it. Okay. And here is an important note that says drop-down lists are available for short text, number, and currency data types only. Okay, so that gives you an idea about drop-down lists. So let's now go back and talk about how to do them. Okay, and right here, it tells you that you can either just follow along and read what the text says here in this supplementary activity, or you can actually do what it says, okay, to do. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do what it says to do. And I'm going to be switching back and forth a little bit. Maybe I don't have to do that. Just a second. Okay, let's try this. All right, so we've got the first instruction is to begin to your table for which you would like to set a drop-down list needs to be in design view. And you can't see all the text here, so that's why it's chopped off, because I've had to put everything on two screens on one. So anyway, so we've got state. I'm clicked on, and then it says to click on the lookup, which I had done earlier, but I'll just show you again. So if we're here when we click on state, okay, then we'll click on lookup, and then it says to click the down, and it was like this, but I clicked and I made it go to combo box, okay. And so now we'll go down in the instructions, okay. And so now it's showing over here on the right in the in Word what it will look like, and it also shows in Access that it does in fact look that way. Okay. So anyway, that's basically how you get to do the beginnings of a property or a combo box / drop down list. Okay, so now here it's saying what are the properties that you want to set. Okay, so it says to have a row source property of table / query, and the reason why I don't want you to use the value list is because value list is hard coding. You would have to type right here in row source exactly what you wanted. And the problem with that is that what if it changes? The user can't go in and change it because they don't know about Access. So it's always dependent on the designer to go back and change it all the time. Whereas if you put the row source as table / query, then they have to only go to the table to make changes to the list. The user can just make a change to the list, and the designer doesn't have to do that. So anyway, so I'm going to type here drop down states, and it guessed what I wanted because that table is available. Okay, and it says bound column 1, and that means that that's the specific column that's going to get recorded into the field. And it says to put in column count of 2. That means that there's going to be 2 items in the list when you click the down arrow to see the drop down list. Okay, column heads, I'm going to say yes, which means it'll give a heading at the top of each column of the drop down list. Okay, and this is just kind of a guess of how big I want it, but I'd say 0.75 and semicolon and 1.5. That means 0.75 inches and 1.5 inches, and it will put that inch mark in there for you. Okay, and we'll put in list rows of 10 just for grins. And then for instead of auto, I'll put 2.25. Okay. And limit to list, I'm going to say yes. And what that means is that no other options can be typed into the field. It has to be the ones that are in the list. Okay? And so the big thing that you want to do now is you want to test it. So we're going to go into datasheet view, and I'm going to say yes, and I'm going to maximize this so you can see it. And then if I come here to state and I click on the drop down list, I can see now that I have 2 columns in my drop down list. I have the abbreviation and I have the state. So you've seen now about how to create a drop down list, and so it's your turn, and so you can do a few exercises. It's not a big deal, so probably won't take you very long to answer the questions and to do the few drop-down lists that are associated with the drop-down list database that's provided for you to do this particular supplemental activity. And of course, if you have any questions, give me an email. Okay, I think that's all I want to say. Thanks.